What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about NIO. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down what's really moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So NIO is up 4.3%, 446 the low, 467 the high, and a fair amount of volume. So 34.1 million shares being traded, 45.8 is the average. Broader market did open fairly optimistic. As of right now, a lot of stocks are starting to pull back, but NIO is still leading the pack, at least on my watch list for being green. So definitely good to see. Nothing really coming out from a macro standpoint, no official news or any SEC filings associated to NIO. I did mention a couple of things in my video from the weekend on what's going to really influence NIO. One was going to be the market digesting that recent 80 million milestone. So of course, I think that's adding a certain level of buying. And plus, you did have a lot of in the money options that market makers needed to cover. And that is very resemblant based on the dark pool. So a lot of big transactions, and a lot of this has to do and is linked to shorts and hedge funds as well as market makers. So at the end of the day, big money is buying up NIO. Only thing I wanted to kind of share with you is nothing crazy, but we did know that the 3-row L90 was supposed to be coming out in July. We now have July 31st as a set date. So previously, I don't believe they announced that. So again, that's kind of a good thing. I don't really see that being a good catalyst to now know the actual date, but again, you can kind of add that to your calendars. Only other thing I wanted to mention, I know NIO doesn't really have that big of a foothold in Europe, but of course with a lot of their recent hiring, it shows that it's still on their plan ultimately. But this right here, so the EU may require car rental companies to buy only electric vehicles by 2030. So I wanted to kind of throw this here. It may or may not impact NIO or be an opportunity for NIO, depending on what they want and expansion wise. But if they are planning on really getting themselves really ingrained in Europe, and let's say the whole tariff type of scenario does work out in favor of them and the EU drops it, then yeah, this is definitely a good opportunity to kind of keep in mind as well. Aside from all of that though, you are seeing shorts return 1.38 million shares, 11.64% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 179.67 million shares overall are being shorted. So today you are having institutions buying it as well as shorts returning. Both are adding a certain level of buying pressure. So despite the market starting to look a little bit iffy, you are seeing NIO still relatively strong, and that is a lot of which because of their technicals. But aside from that, looking on the options, 4.79 million in calls, 1.3 in puts. This is something very abnormal, as I've kind of explained in the past. I have many YouTube channels, probably too many, but a lot of the stocks I'm looking at have bearish options. Today, NIO, you do see 58% of all the options being done as bullish in nature. So there is more upside anticipated, and based on the dollar value, it's big money anticipating more upside with NIO. So definitely good to see. When it comes down to the bulls, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that $5 range, 5 to 550. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 450. And given where we are at right now, there's a lot more upside anticipated. So let me know your general thoughts on that. Like I mentioned, a lot of big money really getting into NIO on the dark pool, so good to see. And more specifically with the hedge funds getting in, I think that will add a certain level of stability and hopefully continue to get shorts out, because in case you do not know, shorts have been largely returning. Friday they kind of doubled down a little bit, but at the end of the day they are still returning. So hopefully with this level of institutions buying, this will be a sign for it to get back to kind of like that 6% range where it was ultimately in like 2023. So definitely good to see. Aside from all that fun stuff though, right now with that 457, it is trading between this R2 and this R1. So 454 and then 431 is going to be the support level. So if you're looking at averaging down, day trading, just kind of watch for that. Especially this 454, if it does break below that, then you could see a little bit more of a further consolidation. But 468 is going to be the next strong target / resistance, and it kind of did bounce off of that as far as the high. So we do know going forward that is a kind of strong resistance. So just watch for that. If it's able to get above that, whether that be later today, most likely not, probably tomorrow. Then 492 is going to be the next following one. Aside from that, there hasn't been any articles really coming out about NIO, aside from what I've kind of brought up on this kind of viewpoint. No new analyst ratings, as I brought up like 5-6 days ago. I think that was the last one, or 7 days ago, Morgan Stanley. But most likely you should see a couple this week, as like analysts are just sheep. I know I kind of mentioned this in my video yesterday, but it's honestly very true. So if NIO is able to hold relatively this price level, and if not kind of move higher, you're definitely going to be seeing some analysts giving some pretty bullish ratings. So that will of course push it even further higher. But aside from that, as of today, it is breaking above that 200-day moving average. So how this has all played out is very abnormal, because NIO in the past has shown a lot of signs that it wanted to move higher, attempted to break out, and then you have shorts like quadrupling down just to kill the momentum. And unfortunately, it's happened more common than not. But this time around, you are seeing, like I showed you, shorts just generally return. So I don't know if they are anticipating a larger push higher, but nonetheless, on a technical standpoint, things are looking pretty a-okay. So right now it is above all the key pivotal moving averages that I like to look at. So the 200, 100, and also 50-day moving averages. Stochastic RSI is overbought, and that's just something I've kind of warned as a little bit more of a FYI, only because first sign of weakness, whether it be specific to NIO or the broader market, you could see a certain level of consolidation. But it won't just be NIO, because every stock is overbought right now, or at least like 95% of them are. So if there is a pullback, it won't just be NIO, it'll be a broader one. And most likely, if anything, I feel like it would come from Trump associated to tariffs, because I've seen some interesting kind of comments, nothing crazy to panic over, but he looks like he's in a mood wanting to start something again. So who knows, we'll have to wait and see how that does all play out. But nonetheless, NIO on a technical standpoint does show that it wants to move higher. So let me know your thoughts on NIO. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. And despite today's pullback, called the bottom on many stocks, so definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. So with all that said, appreciate all of you watching.